Crazy times requires crazy people. Desperate times seeks desperate measures, something like that. Although I am a huge fan of the modern society and any move towards back is not okay, but why not? I guess everybody understands that morality which some few, not me, they never understood. That morality is to shape everything and to give in everything, to put a facade till forgetting the functionality of ourselves. What is Marxism for dummies? Marxism is a requirement for salvation of the human society as a whole, is mostly a prediction rather than conviction. There is no conviction in such prophecies. And this prophecy which Karl Marx brought is mostly religious, not philosophically abstract. But it still is a conviction. Once is being reinforced and never works. But what is Marxism for dummies? It's about the marginalized. How they become the margin by venalizing. To be venalized. And who does the venalizing? Those, they become marginalized. That's like a second-hand smoke. Those on top, they select few those who gave up and cannot fight anymore, and giving them, smoking their asses off, and they smoke, they're marginalized. I'm not sure if these are all jokes. Or nobody sees it. But it is very easy to bring people to their rational senses, the sober senses. We just need to cut the supply of the bullshit, and with all due respect to religion, which is the most mysterious things to me, and I love it, and I will never, ever, ever, ever go back to any ideological groups ever again. And I begin with Alcoholic Anonymous, and after that, Muslims, which I have nothing against their ideologies. It's not just mine. I actually found out a lot of good things in them. And my revenge will be to keep silence about their goods. But the Abrahamic Accords, that is a joke. Why is that? I never believed in any miracles. And I do believe sincerely those who take such regards for their figures, they are the most blasphemes against their perspectives. They insulting themselves, not me. Just imagine a figure like a man who stood against all herd moralities and trying to compromise and accepting to respect and fighting for transparency to the point being crucified. And then that person becomes this story to venalize the marginalized. Who is the most blaspheme in such cycle? What is divorced disrespect, giving that those attributes as miracles? We disregard the man and the God at the same time and calling it the Word of God. But Abrahamic court, to finish this rambling around the crumbles of the Middle East, who was Ibrahim? Who was Ibrahim? This story is about a man who has two sons, 12, but two sons at the middle of the Middle East. And it is this story, it turns to be very useful and functionalized for the ruler to ask and demand, not just ask, demand. Every man with two sons sends one son to the war, and if the father is faithful to the cause, the son will return to the home safely. But if the son dies in the battle, it's the lack of faith of the father. The responsibility of the death of the son is onto the father for his hesitation. Now, the story, which is being designed for military occupation, do you think such a story has any merit for bringing peace? And I argue the problem is with the way we need to discuss. We need to discuss everybody. We cannot policing the thoughts through forcing the respect to ideology, which is malice. I'm not talking about the Abrahamic religion, because this malice nature of the intentional began at the early of 20th centuries, middle of the United States Public Relation Committees by 7 figures, through the engineering the public consents, measuring the ignorance. Once we force, the only way people cooperate is through ignorance, which is ignorance to the fact none of the things we using is the work. Yes, the majority people want to have their own lives, but we shouldn't give them the quality and cheering them for doing nothing and saying, oh, you're perfect. I mean, everybody's like wants to do something good. They inventing something good, they become alienated, not marginalized. They bring the entire society, and there is a function of evolution to wait for the slowest one. But while we waiting for the slowest one, we shouldn't decapitate, like mutilate. My English is not good, but destroy our best. There is a line in a Scarface. Rule number one: never get high on your own supply. If US wants the true power, then it needs to have true thoughts. And I argue that which Mr. Trump, some of the terminology you're using, sir, you do not understand them. You have no idea what is the reciprocal relationships means. And the nepotism you're trying to fix cannot be fixed by forcing on other lands. And the globalism which you guys spend all the money on it, which is inevitable, which is gonna happen, is gonna get out of your hand if you cannot follow all the things you're doing. You're planning good. The corona was being made in Harvard lab, which was a good thing. We were on the brink of the world wars. And the way US was manipulating their numbers to get it higher, which at the time maybe it seems to be not a wise decision, but at the end of the day, when people, they believe all politicians and all people in position they're lying, who does less lying, who shows more their own problems, are more suitable to rule all. Another, like every election US has, every single one of the election the US has, before election, something mass happens to manipulate the public consents. The first time, the Hillary and Trump, they went 2 nights before the election, confiscate Hillary Clinton's laptop to begin. The entire society doesn't understand those accusations, they were true or not, but Hillary did not have the authority to respond because it was part of the CIA plan. The silence of, there is just one room we discussed these things, but 2 nights before. And then the James Comey after indicate like that wasn't the public relation US committee to do this job, it was hacked. James Comey was off. Or Trump, the assassination of the Trump, they knew it was going to work in a favor of Trump. This goes back to the Coolidge and even the woke, everything. And one of those terminology, you, my good sir, Mr. Trump, you don't understand, is the Gulf, which follows the same principle of the engineering the public consent. What is the Gulf? What is the Bay? The Gulf is moving the land in the sea. Once you name a Gulf, any name, you don't name the water, you name the land under the water. And you technically, once you say Arabian Gulf, you're calling Iran Arab. And people goes to the school, they know these terminologies, but they don't care the same. They don't know what is the functionality of these words. But in their subliminal mind, they start to, when anybody who goes like, oh, this is a Mexican Gulf or Persian Gulf for 2,500, you're serving the same purpose. You're passionate about something which you just need to discard. Because any movement towards such complicated planning for engineering the public consent through their passions and ignorance and keeping people always in the emergency states is bad. But the abyss is a gulf, but the abyss is a gulf too. When you stare into the abyss also stares back into you. That is Mr. Trump. You don't understand once you name the Mexican Gulf, the Persian Gulf, what you brought up to yourself, because those person, that one individual person who wrote for you the reciprocal relationship and suggest the 51st state, Canadian professor, that person, he is the greatest admirer of the Western culture and society, and openly trying to embody all the great things in the Western culture. And that man knew what he was doing. I tried to help. I stopped. But just imagine, this is no good.